Hey everyone, welcome to another video. If you love film, gaming, or television content, please hit that subscribe button. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of my most anticipated films for 2022, and that is Jordan Peele's latest film, Nope. So, let's get into it. Just some quick housekeeping first. Because this review will be completely spoiler free, I'm hoping to do a second video on this film discussing full spoilers and providing some analysis on some of the more interpretive scenes. Let me know if you would like to see that either by hitting the like button or commenting down below. By the way, between you and me, I'll probably release that video anyway.
Oh, I want that footage. I want it. I need it.
Nope is honestly one of those films I wish I could give 2 ratings to, because what I think about this movie versus what most people will think about this movie will probably be very different. Judging from Rotten Tomatoes, that's exactly what it looks like. In terms of my personal taste, I don't usually go by Rotten Tomatoes for suggestions or anything, but the critic rating kind of aligns with my opinion a little bit more than the audience rating does. Sure, it can go the other way, and sometimes I'll disagree with both, but most of the time that is how my opinions sway. With all of this being said, I think that this might be Jordan Peele's weakest film, but at the same time, it is still better than the majority of most films coming out, and definitely this year. Nope is easily his most ambitious film, and he uses every cent of that $68 million budget to deliver maybe the most technically stunning film I have seen since Dune, which is funny because pure dog shit like Jurassic World Dominion cost more than double this, which is another reason that studios really need to give these massive budgets to a director who is willing to push the medium forward over giving it to something that is just trying to be the most generic thing ever.
I love my boring life.
The thing that works so well for this film are those technical elements. Nope has some extremely stunning shots that are some of the most impressive in all of Peele's filmography, especially when the threat of this movie is present. A lot of the scenes at night utilize this the best. We also get some of the best use of sound this year. I saw this in a VMAX theater and I highly recommend you see it there, because the way it uses sound just enhances this film so much, and it actually relies on that to deliver on some of the horror, and boy, it is impressive and just adds to how technically stunning this is. Nope is also quite ambitious in its storytelling. It manages to take this threat that we have seen in so many other films previously and make it feel solely unique. There are 2 kinds of stories taking place, and they both tie together fairly well. The first is basically the majority of the film with Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer, who both give some really excellent performances, and they balance each other out really well from the moment they are introduced. Kaluuya's character is more reserved and is trying to get past a traumatic event in his life, and Palmer's character is more lighthearted and outspoken, which, like most brother and sister dynamics, they have a lot of conflicts throughout the film, though they still care about one another. The way their story plays out is really the main plot to this film, and I liked how it played out after the first 2 acts. There is a bridge between the second and third acts that just had me feeling a little bored, but luckily it picked back right up again when the third act really gets going. By the end of the whole thing, it felt like their story felt more like a hangout film, which, if you didn't know, I will let Mr. Quentin Tarantino explain.
Hangout movie.
Right.
And that's a movie where you get to know the characters. Right. And then you, like Dazed and Confused is a hangout movie.
Right.
Building off what he says, a hangout movie is kind of a day in the life of these characters' movie. You see a lot more of their day-to-day activities, and you subtly get more and more familiar with them over the course of the film, and Nope manages to do that quite well. The second plot, surprisingly, is the one I found to be a little more interesting and compelling, and it involves Steven Yeun. This is really a side story, but it still serves to be quite useful, as well as having the most to interpret. The scenes involving this character felt like the most like a Jordan Peele film, with having so many layers and giving this film a lot more of a reason to re-watch it. Yoon's performance, as per usual, is great. You really get to see the reason why he does certain things, and I'll definitely be talking more about that in that spoiler video. Now, the reason why I said at the beginning of this video why I think this film needs 2 scores is because it is easy to understand why the audience rating is fairly lower than the critic one. I almost felt like I agreed with it at points after getting right out of the theater, but after sleeping on it and thinking more about it, the things that bothered me really didn't bother me anymore. This straight up feels like an A24 film at times because it takes this grand thing that you are thinking is going to go in a certain way and it just doesn't. I have never seen Close Encounters before, but I do want to, and I think a lot of people thought it was going to be similar to that or something like War of the Worlds, and it just isn't. This film is slower paced and focuses on the character far more than the threat. And you really don't fully understand what the threat even is until the end of the film. I have to say at first I was a little disappointed that it just didn't push the concept far enough and it kind of stops progressing. And unlike Jordan Peele's other 2 films, it really doesn't feel like a horror at all. A sci-fi thriller seems like a much better description here because if you are looking for a ton of scares, you will just not get it here. I also think if you're looking for that social messaging that has been a prevalent thing in both of Jordan Peele's other films, you're just really not going to get that here either. So it may feel a little disappointing if you are looking for that. The metaphor this went for, I just did not expect at all, and I was still processing it when I got out of the theater. I will once again go over more of this in the spoiler video because I would love for you to discover it for yourself. But after a day, I can really look at it for what it is and really enjoy what Jordan Peele was going for. While this is a little more simple compared to something like Get Out or Us, it is still more layered than the majority of films releasing, and I do think there is still a whole lot to unpack, which once again, for a Peele film, makes this way more fun to rewatch, which I can just see myself doing so much in the future.
Went there again, did it again.
Overall, I really enjoyed Nope. It is a true technical phenomenon and I could not hope to understand how this was filmed. I always love coming out of a film that had a massive budget and felt like it really aimed to push cinema forward. There are always complaints that Hollywood isn't original and cinema is dying because they just don't make anything like what they did in the 80s, 90s or early 2000s. I completely disagree with that point. These films are out there, but they just rarely get the support they need because the amount of people saying this aren't going to see true original blockbusters like this, which lets the studio know that they won't make these films because they're not profitable. Anyway, I went on a bit of a tangent there. I'm sure Nope will get the support it needs because it has a truly great premise, and Jordan Peele, as I said in my Get Out and Us review, is one of the few directors that people can go to for a fun blockbuster as well as someone looking for something deeper in their films. With all of this being said, I highly recommend Nope and I'm going to give it a strong 4.5 out of 5. It got really close to a 5, but I didn't give Get Out a 5 and I think Nope does have some flaws that hold it back. And I think that Get Out is a slightly better film as well. I would also suggest you see this on the biggest screen you can possibly find with the loudest speakers you can possibly find because this film just has that sense of scale to it.
This is great.
Anyway, thank you for watching the video. If you want to see my reviews for Jordan Peele's other films, please check the playlist above me somewhere. Remember to like or comment to let me know if you are interested in a more detailed analysis video of Nope. Also, I would love to know what your thoughts are towards this film. This is a very interesting release and I would love to hear your take. Remember to hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.